to affect someone's maximum force producing capabilities, otherwise known as, again, their 1RM or their maximum strength. Some of these factors that are going to be taken into account are going to be overall motor unit recruitment. Obviously, the more motor units that can be recruited, the more cross bridges that can be formed and the greater amount of force that can be produced. The other thing, of course, with motor unit recruitment is rate coding, or the frequency of motor unit activation. We know wave summation, for example, that the more frequent that action potentials are reaching the muscle cell membrane, the more force we're going to have being produced by each individual motor unit. Similarly, on the same idea of recruitment, we're looking at motor unit synchronization. We want to get all of these motor units to be firing at the same time so that they're all contributing to force production simultaneously. We also have a Golgi tendon influence, and specifically the Golgi tendon can inhibit force production. It's believed to be a little bit of a protective mechanism. So as you're lifting and your muscles are producing all of this force, the Golgi tendon organ is sensing an increase in tension within the muscle tendon itself, and that can cause an inhibitory signal to be produced, almost, as I said, as a protective mechanism. We also are going to have just straight up actin and myosin content. So how big is that muscle? How many cross bridges can actually be formed? Then we're going to have, of course, inter and intramuscular coordination. So back to the neural requirements, where in order for these lifts to occur, you're seeing some big squats here, there's a lot of things that need to happen simultaneously. We have prime movers, we have synergists, we have stabilizers, etc. And at different points in the movement are going to require different degrees of neural resources, different amounts of motor unit recruitment and synchronization and rate coding, and some of these things that have already been addressed up here. Then we're also going to have this whole idea of joint integrity. Do we have the nervous system allowing our joints to accept these forces? There's a theory that, hey, if you have a little bit of instability, a little shoulder issue, maybe a little bit of a hip issue, when you go to exert these maximum forces, there's almost a CNS, right? There's almost a CNS inhibition that says, no, we're not going to allow for all of that force production to go through that hip joint, because that hip joint is a little bit compromised right now. Obviously very tough to prove something like that, but it does make sense in theory. So ultimately what we're getting at is the factors that affect someone's strength are really related to how big are the muscles that we are talking about, so how much actin and myosin can interact for cross-bridge formation, and then outside of muscle size, we're just looking at nervous system things, right? Motor unit recruitment, rate coding, synchronization, Golgi tendon organ, all of these things coming together at once very efficiently to produce a whole bunch of force.